What choice do I have? What choice do I have? What choice do you have? This is the question that I hope you're here to think about with me and consider the topic of agency, especially when it comes to figuring out how to navigate the times that we're in where so much feels out of our control and so much is happening or unraveling or changing um, quickly, and it's hard to keep up. As students who've gone through the pandemic and so many different cultural movements, you're no stranger to this experience, and you've lived in it for most of your life. And in some ways, it's the norm. Because of that, maybe it's also made you develop some habits or just some ways of functioning that didn't really feel like a choice, just kind of something you had to do or what everybody seemed to be doing, or was kind of just the reactionary thing to cope. And so that is totally valid. I hope that you'll start to take some time now, especially that you're in college, to evaluate and maybe question a little bit more about what you want to do intentionally and about the choices that you want to make. So, for this segment of this workshop series, I'm going to focus on the idea of agency. My name is Melba Mathew, and I'm one of the therapists in residence. I'm here from the office in McLaughlin Walsh recording this segment. Feel free to email me or look up my contact if you want to connect later, or if anything about this workshop resonated with you and you want to talk about it a little bit more. So, jumping back into the theme, the topic, let's first acknowledge that the political climate right now is overwhelming, and feeling that way is common and natural. So I just want to normalize that, normalize the fact that we all, to some degree, don't know, what's going to happen or what's happening or what to do about it. Let's also normalize the fact that for you as a college student, it's part of your development, the stage that you're in, to learn about and figure out how to balance your responsibilities and what you're going to be involved in, how involved you want to be. You are literally discovering how your thinking, your perceptions, your emotions, your body are all responding to new input and exposures without maybe some of the safeguards that you used to have. And so it's a good opportunity to kind of test your development and also practice, right? And to focus in on the things that maybe need a little bit more time and attention. Generally, we all already know that particular stressors are hard on the body, or that news, for example, can be distressing. There are triggers, right, that maybe we should be avoiding. Generally speaking, we have this understanding that triggers cause stress response and maybe even chronic stress responses. So, actually recognizing when this happens is a really important practice and skill. So just moving not just from this like theoretical or intellectual knowledge of that, but to an experiential knowledge where in the moment recognize, oh, I am under a lot of distress. This is like triggering something, a response in my body, my nervous system that was like involuntary, right? That happening for too long can have a number of different consequences. And Justin, in the segment that he has recorded and provided for you all, covers a technique to help you with this, to help you with identifying and recognizing when your nervous system is dysregulated or your emotional responses are maybe more intense. So please do check that out. The next part that I want to get to, once you have that awareness, is to learn about managing your voluntary responses, maybe being more intentional about the things that you can choose to do, the choices that you have, learning about how much, maybe even power you have within those choices, what the scope is for you to exert power, exert your agency in those choices. Having agency is challenging when you're being pulled in different directions or there's other influences, right? Other maybe authority figures or powers, we'll call it, right? That are maybe demanding something of you or making you call into question your own authority or your own sense of choice and what you want and what you need. Imagine for a moment you being this like point in the center of a circle. And that circle is your scope of choice, power, of agency. And within that circle, you have an internal locus of control. So you can control the things within that circle because you have an internal locus of control. There are some things that, because of external locus of, or loci of control, be affecting you. Think of that as maybe the second concentric circle. So you at the middle, your things that are in your internal locus of control, and then beyond that, things that are affected by external locus of control or loci of control. And those are things that are maybe still personal, but you don't have complete control over. And then even beyond that, there's systemic things that are being affected by other influences, other people, right? And yeah, even by you, right? You are also contributing to things in this external system that you're a part of. Have that image in your mind and think about what might be in that first circle, the inner circle, where you have personal power and internal locus of control. It might be your self awareness, self discipline, your thinking, right? The thoughts that you can voluntarily think about or focus on, your creativity, maybe your sensibility, what you're attuned to, maybe your sense of resilience. These things that you have personal control over. If you're doubting that, like, even my thoughts, I don't have control over, or yeah, my sense of resilience, I don't have control, or my creativity, that's a good awareness to have, right? And because you have awareness and that's in your internal locus, you can do that. You can think about that. The things on the second circle, right? Those can be maybe more interpersonal. So other people might be affecting you, the relationships that you have with those other people, those interpersonal relationships could be affecting your second circle, right? That could be your empathy, your communication, your leadership, maybe your sense of solidarity with others. So these are powers that, while they're still within individual control, it does require interaction and influence with other people, and they represent the ability to influence, your social environment and relationships. It's important for the individual, you, me, to be aware that we don't control others, but we can foster positive, collaborative, and empathetic dynamics. So now the third circle, let's call that the political power sphere, or the collective and societal locus of control. These are powers that need to be exercised with others. And it's actually with others that the power is actually there, right? So, for example, nonviolent resistance, activism, civic engagement, like voting, building coalitions, right? All of that are collective and societal in nature. And while an individual can participate in these dynamics, we operate within a system that requires the involvement of others. And so we don't have full control over it or full power over it. And in fact, our power is based on the involvement of others. The group dynamics and societal systems really matter when we're thinking about our political power. Some other powers that I just want to mention, and you know, maybe you can kind of think about where it fits in this diagram or this model is have creative power, the power to problem solve, use artistic expression, or express yourself artistically, or express, your the things that matter to you artistically. Things like entrepreneurship or innovation, where the power here can maybe even transform internal and external environments or circles. There's, I think, a lot of opportunity being a college student to also now engage in creative power, or think about, you're mapping out maybe your future of how you want to have more creative power. Yeah, and there's many others that we don't have time to get into today, but hopefully this gets you just thinking, right, about some different areas that you might have influence over, and more importantly, it helps you understand the type of influence and gives you a better sense of choice. With this, going to take a moment to just pause, let it kind of sink in. Maybe even just take a deep breath with me. And we'll conclude here. Feel free to reach out again. If this sparked anything that you want to talk about more, you can book a TIR check-in appointment with me for that. I would love to talk to you. Um, and I'll see you around.